Good morning, everyone. This is Christian Duque, MD Noble Weekly, Episode 7, brought to you courtesy of IronMagLabs.com, your go-to source for all your bodybuilding and fitness supplements. Today is Wednesday, August the 2nd, and we have a very interesting show. First and foremost, we'd like to talk about Sean Harris, who left us last Thursday in a completely horrific car accident, getting ready for Tampa, great physique. Husband, father of two. It just reminds us, how precious life is, how we can't take anything for granted. This was a great, great guy. I didn't know him personally, but I've heard so many accounts all over the internet from, Mr. Olympia to judges to officials, so many people that this man touched and honestly made such a big difference in the sport of bodybuilding. And there's even a video out right now, a tribute video that was actually made 4 hours before that fatal car crash. So it's very, very depressing, and it really just reminds us, how touch and go life can really be. I mean, it's just very, very sad. There is a fund if you log on to GoFundMe.com/team-Harris-family-fund, where the family is trying to raise $100,000. And just in the course of a couple of days, over $30,000 has been donated. So whether you want to donate $5, $20, $100, $500 is entirely up to you. Whether or not you want to do it in your name or anonymously, again, is up to you. But I believe that every single cent will go towards helping Sean's wife and his children and giving them some kind of a chance for the future. And we've seen just an incredible outpouring from the bodybuilding community, and I'm very proud to be part of that community. And I hope that we all come together, whatever differences we have, and just, whatever you can donate, try to do it. Next, I'd like to talk about Derek Lunsford. Just a phenomenal champion, 24 years old, very reminiscent of Regan Grimes in the sense that here you have someone that is completely aesthetic, has gone up the weight classes in a competitive manner without blowing out his physique, without blowing out his lines, wins the USAs, which, there's always been sort of a pecking order. I've always been a big fan of the North Americans and the Team U, but the reality of the matter is the USAs and the Nationals have always been sort of where most of the biggest champions have come from. And to win the USAs is nothing short of amazing with an amateur career of only 6 shows. If you haven't checked out the Ron Line report, definitely check that out. I mean, Ron did a phenomenal job, and Ron is getting just so many of the best athletes, the champions of yesteryear, of today, the newcomers like Derek, and just really, to say it's just an interview would be an understatement. This is a conversation where you really get to see who these athletes really are, what they feel, and something that I really like about Derek, again, just 24 years old, but he has a real good perspective that it's not just about what an IFBB pro does on the stage that matters, but it's also what he or she does off the stage. And he's really cognizant to that, and he really wants to grow the sport. I mean, you don't often hear, people that have just gotten a pro card talking about growing the sport. That's generally something that you hear about from, a top 10 or even top 6 Olympian or a top 6 Arnold Classic finisher, not someone that just got a card. So that's fantastic that he is that concerned with the sport. What I also think is great about Derek is the fact that, he played sports, as you'll hear on the Ron Line report. And, initially, this was not a guy that was on the first string or even the second string. He was benched most of the time, but he worked his ass off. He was a workhorse, practicing and lifting and doing what his coaches said. And he never really found it in those sports, but in bodybuilding, I mean, the guy's a shoo-in, and he's actually jumping in to the Tampa Pro, and he's going to be in the 212. And I actually think, in my 212 predictions, I actually think he's going to make a top 3 debut, which is kind of like Regan Grimes making a top 6 debut when he competed in Chicago. Next, Phil Heath got married. As you guys remember, a couple of years ago, he finalized his divorce, and his new wife, Shuri, he popped a question. She said yes. The Heath will be married, and congratulations to him. I know we break balls here and there, and that's really all that it is, because in the end, we are all fans of bodybuilding. He is a 6-time reigning champ who will likely win his 7th Sandow here in about a couple of months, actually in about a little bit under 7 weeks. But, of course, very happy for him. Arnold Schwarzenegger, the Oak, turned 70. This is, again, you think about people that have done things for the sport of bodybuilding. You got Joe Weider, of course, Ben Weider, Arnold. I mean, that's the next name that comes to mind to me. I mean, there's a lot of people. I mean, Steve Bleckman has done a lot for the sport. Robin Chang has done a lot for the sport. You know, John Balick and so many others. But the reality of the matter is Arnold is right up there with the Weider brothers. And actually, Arnold, the Arnold Classic is second only to the Mr. Olympia. And, you know, you get Arnold Classics all around the world. And everybody knows this man's name. And what he was able to do for the sport of bodybuilding really will be unmatched in history. So happy birthday to him. Belated, but nonetheless. Now, Tampa predictions. Tampa's a big show, guys. Tampa's a big show. Regan Grimes has gone official on Instagram and on social media. Said, this is my one last chance to win a show before the Mr. Olympia. This is a competitor that wants to do the Mr. Olympia. Some people have said he doesn't have the freak factor. Some people have said he has to wait and grow some more. Listen, you know, he got top 6 in Chicago. He got runner-up in Vancouver. He's doing real well at IFB-sanctioned events, so I don't know what more he needs to do. He doesn't need to wait anymore, that's for sure. So I actually have Regan Grimes as my prediction to win the Tampa Pro, Titan Pro championships. Now, for the second place, it's going to be touchy because I have Josh Lenardowicz. Have to look down there. Josh Lenardowicz and Max Charles. Now, the fact that Regan would jump over both of them is a huge gamble. But, hey, I'm a gambling man. I like to gamble. A lot of people don't like to do predictions. They don't do them days before. They like to do them right then, day of the show as the guys are getting on stage. That, to me, I like to predict. I don't care if I'm wrong. So what? I'm wrong. Who cares? But, yeah, I think Regan will jump over both those guys. And I have An Nguyen in that top 3, top 4. An Nguyen is a phenomenal, phenomenal bodybuilder. And him I do know, and he is just insane. So I definitely have him up there. For the 212, I think Santa is going to get it. Sami Al-Haddad would be someone to look as well. Very aesthetic from Bahrain. Very, very good physique. And again, Derek Lunsford. I mean, you know, it's very possible that just after winning the USAs, Derek goes over to Tampa and gets a top 3 debut, or maybe wins. Could you imagine if he won the 212 and he got an Olympia qualification? I don't think he gets a qualification for winning the USAs. I don't think it works that way. I think that's only with the amateur Olympia overseas, I believe, because I believe there was a year that Roman Fritz did that. I believe, I might be mistaken, but if he goes and wins a 212 in Tampa and he has an Olympia certification, how cool would that be? All right, guys, and finally, oh, the Psych Out, can't forget the Psych Out. The new hashtag for Sean Flexitron Roden is hashtag becoming number 14, which I'm sure the gift is a little concerned about. Some very impressive photos coming out from the Bonet camp, from the Brandon Curry camp, and also, let's not forget, from the Lionel Bayiki camp. Don't get me started on Lionel Bayiki. I love Lionel Bayiki, but, you know, conditioning is the key, and we'll just have to wait and see if he brings it to Vegas. That'll do it for this edition of MD Noble Weekly, brought to you courtesy of IronMagLabs.com. Peace.